Christian P, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Hey, honestly, I was gonna just add a little more to Chris Holt's question because that was a kind of a good one. I literally just ran into as I was presenting before this call, and it wasn't really like super unrealistic, like one of those, you know, people that wanted like a term policy for like 150,000 at like age 80. It was just more like I had one lady really stuck on like only direct bill, um 20 to $30, that's it. And it's like um for I know you said kind of like the a way to kind of mitigate that is to have the objection come a lot earlier. So like if that's really it, like let them know, hey, we're only going to really be able to take a look at these options or this is realistic. But I mean, if you're already kind of past that, right? Like and you're at the end, um like how would you, I know that's a way to mitigate it, but how would you go about it at the end? Because at the end I'm kind of like I had a pretty good why, which is her mom passed and she had to come out of pocket. So that one was like okay, easy. But at the end was like, you know, direct billing limited us, and then that 10,000 amount was too high. It wasn't 20 to $30.
Yeah. So I think that whenever we do get stuck at the numbers, it's important to remove the numbers from the conversation, right? Because they're like, they don't want to be closed on the money, right? So our goal is to, like I said this last week, I think it was on this call or another call, but we want to close them on the idea of getting something and not the price at that point, because that is solvable and flexible. We can change all that. But if they're still committed to trying to get protection and taking care of their family, it's like, okay, there's still a need to be filled, right? So if I ever get, and I did it this today on live dials, I had like a 15-minute conversation with this lady. She wanted to speak to people that I had death claims with to know that it was real, and like I went back and forth with her for a while. But she objected, right? And same thing for you. If someone objects after the numbers and they're really pushing back, it's like we want to remove the numbers. So I always go, okay, let's just take a step back, right? Let me take a step back. Is this something that sounds like it would make sense for you? Right? Is your family getting taken care of in the event of a death? Or if you needed access to money, or whatever the kind of policy it is that something that sounds like it would make sense for you and your family? Because right now, I think that you told me that they don't have anything in savings and they wouldn't be able to come out of pocket. So it's not a matter of whether or not we need to get something. It's really just figuring out which option it's going to be. And I'm on your team. I just want to do what makes the most sense for you. So why don't we do this, right? I'm taking all the pressure out. I'm backing up. I'm not hard closing, right? And it's when their perception is so off, right? I got to step out of it. I'm like, I can't just overcome an objection. Like I need to think about an objection and be like, go into my word track and overcome it. I got to like step out of it because their perception was so off, or they're so thrown off. Take all the pressure out of it. And then when we take all the pressure out of it, I come back and I say, okay, if that doesn't make sense to start off with, why don't we do this? Because we both agree, right, Christian, that Susie's going to need at least something, right? And 2,000 is better than zero, and 4,000 is better than 2,000. And we want to make sure that it fits financially within your pocket. And we don't want to do anything that's going to take any food off the table. And 100% of my clients agree that if it doesn't make sense financially, it doesn't make sense to do it all. So let's just make sure we start you off with at least something. So Susie's going to have a little bit of something there to support her during that time when she's going to have to come out of pocket and worry about those final expenses. Is that fair? Right? And then like I'm expecting an objection, obviously, from then on. But I'm just trying to I'm backing out of the numbers, and I'm trying to like close them on the general idea of getting it, right? Hey, if your daughter did have to come out of pocket, and hey, I'm not saying that we should do this. I'm just saying, like, if your daughter did have to come out of pocket, like, hey, Christian, where are you? Can you unmute?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Let's role
still.
play, right? So like I'm like, hey, 10,000 is, you know, $50 a month, and 15,000 is like $75 a month. Which one makes more sense?
Oh no, that's too high.
Okay, so Christian, let's take a step back here for a second. If your daughter Susie did have to come out of pocket for your final expenses, would she have the money to be able to pay that in cash, like that $10,000 to $15,000 range that you said it would cost?
No, she couldn't afford it.
Okay, so if she couldn't afford it, how do you think she would be getting the money to be able to take care of it?
I don't know.
Okay, so it seems like it's probably not a matter of whether or not we need at least something, right? Because I know that we can both agree that the last thing that we would want is for our family to be in any kind of hardship after we're gone when we had an opportunity to solve that when we were still alive. Can we both agree on that?
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Okay, so if it isn't a matter of whether or not we need to at least do something, why don't we do this? Because we can always come back and add on more. But I just want to make sure that you guys are going to be taken care of because I just spoke to Sydney last week, and Sydney, she actually called me because she saw the notes that we had written down on the call, and she thought that her mom did get a policy, but she actually didn't, and she passed away, and there was no coverage in place, and that broke my heart to have that conversation. So what we're going to do here today is we're just going to get a portion of what we need, and we can always come back and add on more. Now the 2,000 is going to be $20 a month, and the 5,000 is going to be $38 a month. Out of these two on a financial month-to-month basis, which one makes more sense to start off with?
Damn, that was good.
And like, it's just it's something, right? And like someone's probably gonna object and like it's not gonna work 100% of the time, but like that's the battle that we gotta fight. And like, it's cool when people say no, we got a whole list of these people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, man. And just to kind of sum that up, so you're saying obviously kind of if you presented those numbers, take a step back, kind of reevaluate everything. That way they kind of remembered, they wasn't the price that they were looking at. There's it's kind of the coverage is what kind of the most important thing.
Yeah, and so they just don't want to feel like you're trying to close them, on the money.
Hmm.
They want to feel like they're being taken care of. So like when you step back like that, it's not about the money. Like, hey, it isn't about the money. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to take the pressure out of it. And this is like, if I do a really good job up front and ask all these questions and get their objections out, and I'm like, and I do my trial close and they say there's no reason why they wouldn't move forward or whatever it is, right? And then they're like, I need to think about it. Well, I'm trying to overcome that objection. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you just told me there's nothing else. So I'm like, since it isn't a matter of whether or not we need it, we'll take a look at a lower option and we'll go ahead and get the request for coverage started because it's not a matter of whether or not we're going to get it. You just told me that. So go ahead and verify the date of birth for me and the spelling of your first and last name. Right. And I'm already just jumping into the app because like we're doing it. And that's my attitude because I'm so confident that this is something that's going to help you. And then they're going to feel that and be like, oh man, this guy's serious. I'm not just, getting nothing. This is like a legitimate thing. Right. And then I'm like, all right, just to make sure we got the $5,039.12 a month. That's going to make more sense than that $10,000